So we will see this topic. So you can have your textbook also open. You can have your textbook open. It is in the page. It is in page 141. Actually, it starts in page 140. So look at the topic. In page 140, the topic is cyclotron. So make a note of it. So what this is all about is, it is a mission. Okay, what a cyclotron is actually is, it is a mission which is used to accelerate the charged particles. So this is the main application of it. So please make a note of it. So cyclotron is a device which is used to accelerate the charged particles to high energies. Okay, it was first invented by Lawrence and Livingston in 1934. So what this device is all about, I will show it to you now. Observe. So you're able to see the screen, right? See. So Lawrence and Livingston, they were the one who constructed this device in the year 1934. This is how the device is going to look like. Okay. So what the cyclotron is, why is it used? It is used to accelerate whom? Accelerate the charged particles. Now observe. Now observe, just a minute. These expressions I will teach you, don't worry about it. See, this is how actually a cyclotron looks like. So if you observe what a cyclotron has, it has two D-shaped metal plates inside, where one is given a positive charge and other is given a negative charge, and the polarities are alternate. Okay, I'll tell you why it is alternated. I'll be putting certain questions for which you need to answer. You will get the answer for it. Okay, so there are two metal plates in the shape of Ds. Okay, these are called as the Ds. So I'll show you where it is in your textbook. So if you observe your textbook, it is given here. So cyclotron uses the fact, okay. So the particles move inside most of the time within two metal plates which are in the shape of these. So this is what is these. Okay. So here what is used is, they use the concept of crossed fields. They use the concept of crossed fields. So what do you mean by crossed fields? Crossed means perpendicular. So make a note of it. In physics, crossed means perpendicular. Okay. So here, crossed fields of what is actually used? Here, electric field and magnetic field are used. And electric field and magnetic field are used in such a way that they are perpendicular to each other. How are they going to be used? So for us to generate magnetic field, obviously what is needed? You people tell me, no? Let's think of the basic design of the device. So what is going to generate the magnetic field for us?
A charge particle.
Charge particles.
No, charge particle will generate magnetic field.
Current carrying conductor.
No, if you want a continuous magnetic field present, what is it you need?
Permanent magnet.
Permanent magnet.
Oh.
Right, you need a permanent magnet. That is the first thing. So here, if you observe the green color lines, you're able to see.
Yes, sir.
Right. So these green color lines are the magnetic fields. So what did I say? There will be two fields present. What are the two fields that are present? One is magnetic field and the electric field also. So magnetic field is present because of the magnets. Okay. Next, who will generate the electric field? How do you generate the electric field?
Using electric conductor that has current passing through it.
If current starts flowing through it again, you're going to say magnetic field will get generated. No, but you already have magnetic field. You need only electric field. So recollect it from the first chapter. What is
It
it?
should have a dipole.
Not necessary to have
A test charge.
Not necessary to have a test charge. You just need to have a battery, right? So I would have told this in the third chapter, right? So wherever you see the term that potential difference is existing between 2 points, okay, if one is positively charged, other is negatively charged. If the potential here is V1 and the potential here is V2, then V2 minus V1 is called as the potential difference. So wherever you see the term potential difference, there is electric field present. Am I right? So that's what happens inside a conductor. So when you connect a conductor across the ends of a battery, what exactly happens? So the battery has potential difference in it, right? You have the electrons within the conductor. So what does this potential difference do? So this will get positively charged, this will get negatively charged. There is an electric field generated from higher to lower potential, due to which the electrons get drifted. Do people remember this concept? We discussed about the drift velocity. Right, at that time I would have explained that there is electric field. So next time onwards, whenever you need an electric field, you can either have a point charge or you have to answer that you can connect it to a battery. Okay, so we connect it to a battery. Now see what is going to happen. So observe. Now we will start thinking about the design of the device. So what did we say a cyclotron is? Let's have certain points in mind before we see what is the construction. So what is a cyclotron? Cyclotron is a device, and this device is used for what? It's given in your textbook also. This device is used to
Accelerate charged
Accelerate
particles to high
charged
energy.
accelerate charged particles. See, this word is very important. Accelerate charged particles. So if you observe from the beginning, right from the first chapter, what was the main concentration upon the charged particles? So first we discussed about what is charge, right? Then we saw what will happen around a charge. When a charge is at rest, what is present around it? You have electric field. If you put the same charge in motion, you're going to have magnetic field. That is what this chapter is, moving charges and magnetism. You put the charged particles in motion. That is when you have current carrying conductor has magnetic field around it. I hope these 2 points are clear, right? So here we are using the word, we need to accelerate the charged particle. So let's recollect certain facts, okay? Now, let us say I have only electric field. Let us say I have only electric field in my hand and I place a charged particle here. Okay, I place it. I'm using the word place. There are 2 words I will be using always. One is placed, one is projected. So if I place a charged particle, what is going to happen to this?
Experience a force.
It experiences a force. Okay, a force of value Q into E. So force will give rise to what? Force will give rise to acceleration. We know this, right? From Newton's second law, F is equal to ma. Wherever there is a non-zero force existing, I can say that the acceleration is non-zero. So acceleration exists, right? So this is going to happen only with the help of whom? Only with the help of electric field. But whereas when we talk about a cyclotron, we are taking the help of both electric field and magnetic field. Am I right? So here what I'm trying to say is we are planning to accelerate the charged particles. If I need to accelerate the charged particle, the concept is telling me that if I place a charged particle in the electric field, yes, it is going to accelerate because it is going to apply a force. I'm happy with this itself. Then why do I need to use magnetic field? That's an important.
So higher energies. So
how do you know higher energy? What proof do you have? Like, what are you trying to say? Like higher energy means how do you know?
So to accelerate to high energy, magnetic field is required.
That's right. But can you give me a supporting theory for it? You're just saying that magnetic field is needed only for this reason. You're going to make it move with a greater energy by doing what?
So it moves in a circular path.
Okay. Okay, let's think about this case. Okay, now we understood only if electric field was there, that is enough for my particle to accelerate. Then why unnecessarily I need not use magnetic field, right, for my design. But let's think what is going to happen when I have magnetic field alone. So if I have magnetic field alone, then what kind of conditions come into picture? Let us say this is one of the cases. I'm saying the magnetic field is into the plane. Okay, one of such cases. If suppose I project the charged particle, I'm using the word project. If I project the charged particle, what are the ways in which I can project so that it experiences force? Can you think? See, I've already discussed this part also. With respect to magnetic field, we saw three concepts. What is that? One is projected parallel to the magnetic field, projected perpendicular to the magnetic field, or at any angle other than
0 or 90 degrees.
0, 90 or 180. You can project it at any angle. If suppose, so when I project it at 0 degrees, what is going to be the force? This is a question we need to answer. So force is going to be 0 because what formula am I going to apply? Q into V vector.
V sin theta.
VB sin theta. Okay, you want me to go with the scalar quantity. It's sin theta, where theta is the angle between the velocity vector and the magnetic field. So if theta is 0 or 180, it is going to be like this. If suppose theta is equal to 90 degrees, what is the path in which the particle is going to move?
Circular.
It is going to move in a circular path. Very good. So it is moving in a circular path. If I ask you a question, is the particle experiencing a force or not?
Yes.
It is experiencing.
Yes, sir.
So the velocity is like this, the force is like this. Okay, you answered it. Now my question is the particle accelerating?
Yes, sir.
If it is accelerating, in which direction will it tend to accelerate? Is it going to be in the radial direction or tangential direction?
Tangential.
Tangential.
Radial direction.
Think and tell me, don't be in a hurry. Think and tell me.
Tangential.
Tangential, sir.
Answer is not tangential, it is in the radial. So when do you say acceleration exists? Acceleration will exist only in the direction in which force is there. Here, what is the only force acting on the system? What is the name of this force? Radial force.
Centripetal force.
Centripetal force.
Another name for radial is centripetal force. Okay, accepted. So when the force is acting perpendicular, why would the velocity change in the velocity is in the tangential direction? So why would this velocity change? The particle is going to move with a constant speed. That is why we say this kind of a motion is uniform circular motion. That's what we discussed, no? So here also the particle is going to accelerate. Okay, but not in the direction in which we need. So somebody used the word energy. So that person, can you tell me what energy are you trying to talk about? Are you trying to speak about kinetic energy or potential energy?
Kinetic energy.
You're saying kinetic energy. So if I need to increase the kinetic energy, okay, you're right actually. The reason being you're accelerating the particle, you want the particle to go with higher speed. That is the whole objective of this design. So if I want the velocity to increase, does the particle need to accelerate or decelerate? As simple as that.
Accelerate.
Accelerate.
Accelerate is right. Second question to be answered, it should be accelerating in the direction of its velocity or in the direction perpendicular to its velocity. So I can say a particle in a circular motion is accelerating. But if I ask a question, should it accelerate in the direction of velocity or should it accelerate in the direction of component perpendicular to velocity?
Perpendicular.
For its energy to increase, I'm putting the statement. Think about it. Don't be in a hurry to answer. I'm repeating the question. See, this will make you think. Okay. I have force perpendicular. I have the velocity in this direction. I am saying that this velocity should increase. When do I say velocity is increasing? When the particle is accelerating. So velocity of the particle can increase only if the force is applied in the direction of its motion. That's what Newton's first law says. So in which direction do you want the velocity to increase? It is in which direction you want the force to act? In the direction.
Tangential.
In the direction of velocity.
In the direction.
Good answer. It is in the direction of velocity. So what is happening? So if I use only magnetic field, what is the drawback I'm facing? I'm not able
It won't
to.
accelerate.
It won't accelerate in the direction of its velocity. Am I right? So it will not be able to. Even you think of the helical path, this is the failure you are going to face. It is not going to accelerate in the direction of its velocity. It will not, because I would have told the concept of v cos theta. I remember the concept of pitch. So that is also going to fail. So what should happen is I need to use both of them in such a way. I need to intelligently design a system in such a way that one is trying to push and the other is trying to accelerate. It is trying to maintain a particular path. That is what we are going to see. Now you will understand why we are using cross fields, because most of the questions will be on why this cross field is being used. You need to understand that first, because then I can proceed with the concept. Okay. So in physics, what does crossed mean? I told you.
Perpendicular.
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 Field and magnetic field should be perpendicular. Okay. So we have seen this electric field and magnetic field to be perpendicular somewhere else also. What was the concept? Let me see if you remember.
Velocity selector.
Very good. Velocity selector. But this concept has nothing to do with velocity selector. So don't try to combine these two concepts and get confused. Okay. So these are the 2 points where you will see electric field and magnetic field to be perpendicular to each other. Now see, what is going to happen is when I place the D's, okay, what is present inside a cyclotron? I told you there are two metallic plates which are in the form of D's. We call them as D's itself, D1 and D2. Let's give the plates as D1 and D2. So what I need to do is, I am going to place my charge particle. I'm repeating it again. I'm not projecting the charge particle. What is the difference? Place the charge particle means the particle is kept at rest. When I say projected, it is given a velocity. When I place a charged particle Q at this point, okay, initially what will happen is there will be a field which is perpendicular to these D's. How is it? They're able to see this? One blue color plate and the green color plate. Just to differentiate, they have given it. And the green color lines represent the magnetic fields, and those two are the permanent magnets which are going to be present. Okay, where is the particle kept? The particle is kept somewhere over here, where my cursor is. Okay. Now see, what is going to happen is, you are able to see that the dotted lines in between, exactly at the center, there will be a charged particle which is placed. Okay, uniform magnetic field. You are able to see the green color line shows the uniform magnetic field. So it is a strong electromagnet. Okay. Now observe what is going to happen. So the D's are connected to certain polarities, right? As of now, nothing is mentioned, which is positive, which is negative. Nothing is mentioned. Have this point in your mind. Read the point given below. An AC of high frequency is applied between the two D's. Why alternating current is applied, I'll explain it to you. But before that, you should have one point in mind. It is the D's which are being given the potential difference. One will be positively charged and the second will be negatively charged with alternating polarities. At what time we need to reverse? We have to think that. So one more point, this whole device is kept in an evacuated chamber in order to avoid the collision of charged particle with the air molecules. So only two fields should be present. One is magnetic field and the second is electric field. Okay. Now observe carefully. A positively charged particle is released at the center P of the gap at T is equal to 0. So you're able to see a charged particle P here. Now the question is, this particle is charged OK. Now this particle In which direction is it going to move? That we don't know. Right? But what is one thing that is clear? The particle P is positively charged. Okay. So when I place a positively charged particle in electric field, in which direction will it move?
Away from
Along with
Along the direction of electric.
sir.
So if it is positively charged, it will move in the direction of electric field. So what is the direction of electric field? Electric field is always from positive to
positive.
that is a known fact. Okay. Now this point, see, this is also an important point. Why positively charged particle alone is used? That I will tell you at the end. So the charged particle is placed at the center. Now observe what polarities are being given. So T is equal to 0. Now tell me what will happen. You're able to see the polarities?
Yes, sir.
Brown color plate is given the positive polarity. The blue color one is given the negative polarity. What will happen to it?
The
The
force
charge
of
starts
attraction.
moving, sir.
So the particle is going to start experiencing force. So here the force that it is going to experience, is it electrostatic force or magnetic force?
Electrostatic.
Electrostatic
Static
force.
force.
Electrostatic force. That's right. So now observe my diagram. I'm showing the same thing from the top view. Okay. Let's say you're seeing it from the top view. If I give this as the positive charge and this the negative charge, then what is going to happen to this particle? This particle starts moving in this direction. And it is happening because there will be a uniform electric field existing in this direction of E. I don't know what is the force. Let's say it is going to experience a force of Q into E depending on how much magnitude you supply. Okay. Now, this particle, what will happen to it? It will go, okay, it will go straight. So no doubt the particle has started experiencing acceleration. If suppose I didn't have magnetic field in this case, what would have happened to it? Suppose I didn't have magnetic field in this case, what would have happened? This is a very simple logic.
Would have started as
The move-
in the direction of electric field.
Sorry?
Sir, it will move in the direction of electric field, sir.
That's it. But my theory is different. I feel that this particle will go and stick here. Because what is the nature of this charge?
Positive.
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 What is the nature of this plate? Negative. So obviously, once the particle crosses this plate, why is it going to stick again? Right? That is what is going to happen. So if this should not happen, what should I do to it? I should immediately be in a position to deflect this particle. Deflect means change its direction. Right? So what is a force that we know with respect to a charged particle which can change the direction of the particle without changing its speed?
Magnetic.
Magnetic field.
Now you understood why magnetic field is needed.
Okay.
Right? Now see what will happen. Look at
Sir,
this.
can you say again, sir?
I'm saying I need to reverse the polarity. I need to deflect the particle, or else what would have happened? This charge Q will go and stick to the negative plate of the DN. It will settle there itself. But what is my objective? I want the particle's energy to increase. Initially, what was its energy?
0.
It is 0 because the particle was at rest. Initially, it is at 0. So with the help of nothing, you want to make it move with a very high speed. That is what you are going to do. Right? Now see what is going to happen is, observe the polarities very carefully. I'll tell you why it is done. So you're able to see that the charged particle is moving. The arrow mark is shown.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So actually he showed it very fast. So why did the deflection take place? Why did the deflection take place?
Because of magnets.
What theory do we know with respect to magnetic field?
The acceleration direction changes.
If the particle is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field, it starts moving in what path? Right. So how is the magnetic field with respect to this particular diagram? It is like, for example, if you draw the same diagram in your paper, no, like how you have to visualize it, you have to visualize as if the magnetic field is coming from the bottom of the paper towards you. Okay. So what I would suggest is for you to visualize, because I cannot show it from here, draw these 2Ds on your paper. Okay, place the charge particle here. There is positive charge, negative charge. Due to the electric field, the particle goes in this direction. Okay, so as soon as it enters this plate D, see what is going to happen to it is this velocity. How is it with respect to the magnetic field? How is the magnetic field in this case? Is it towards you or away from you? How did I ask you to imagine? Imagine as if the magnetic field is towards you. Means you are seeing from top view. You are seeing from here. Okay. Means you are able to see this word working, no? You are seeing from working towards the downward direction. Means your eyes are near the working place and you are seeing in the downward direction. So with respect to you, the magnetic field is coming towards the working. So once you draw it on the paper, that is how it is going to look. So the magnetic field is coming towards you and the particle is moving perpendicular to the magnetic field. So it takes a turn, right? It takes a turn. So it is going to move in a circular path. Is it clear till this step?
Yes, sir.
Right. Now what am I supposed to do? If suppose, so here see, observe. So the particle has taken a turn. What are the polarities on the plates? Nothing. Now see what will happen. Actually, they didn't show it here. Okay. I myself will explain it. So think of this logically. If there is any doubt, let me know. Draw these 2Ds in your plate, in your paper. So this is Q, positive charge, negative charge. Due to the electric field, the particle goes like this. Due to the magnetic field, it takes a turn, right? Once it takes a turn, how much revolution has it completed? How much revolution? Half a revolution, no? Once this half a revolution is over, immediately you need to reverse the polarities. Why is it so? If
Complete the circle.
For the
if I didn't repeat it, if I didn't change the, okay, this is the original case 1. If I leave it like this, what would have happened is this particle will get stuck to the plate 1 itself. I mean this D. If I call it as D2, it will get stuck to D2 because you have a negative charge. Now once I reverse the polarity, when I say reverse the polarity, what will happen? Have this in your mind.
So the attraction will take place.
So when I reverse the polarity, what will this positive charge try to do to the particle? What will this
Repulsion.
Move to the negative.
We try to push it away. So when I say push it away, compared to the force it experiences while it was going towards the plate, it will experience more amount of force. More amount of what force? More amount of electrostatic force. Due to which what will happen is its velocity will increase. Am I clear? Its velocity will increase because force is being applied in the direction of its motion. So its velocity will increase due to the electrostatic force. Once it increases, again the magnetic field is perpendicular to this velocity also. So what will happen to the particle? It will try to take another turn, but this time with a slightly greater radius. And why is that slightly greater radius? Because R is equal to mv divided by qb. So R is directly proportional to V. The mass of the particle is same, charge of the particle is same magnetic field because uniform magnetic field. So R is directly proportional to V. How did you increase the V? You increase the value of velocity by increasing the electrostatic force. Now, how much revolution has this one completed at this plate?
half.
Again, half a revolution. Now, what is your objective?
Reverse the polarity.
Reverse the
Reverse the polarity.
Again, reverse the polarity.
Reverse the
Means,
polarity.
now what will happen? This will start accelerating even more. Means its velocity will become even more high. When velocity increases, its radius will be even more high. Like this, you need to keep reversing the polarities. When I say reversing the polarities, what are you doing? You're trying to alternate the direction of the electric fields. But what is the direction which is constant always? The magnetic field's direction is constant always. Okay. So why do you need the cross fields if they ask you? So the question will be like this: why are cross fields used in a cyclotron? Your answer should be like this: electric field is used to accelerate the particle, and magnetic field is used to put the particle in which motion?
Circular.
Circular motion.
So by this kind of a phenomenon being used, the particle, instead of being revolving in a particular location, it will follow a spiral path. So it will follow a spiral path like this. When this is happening, after every half a revolution, its velocity is increasing. So where did it start with? It started with 0. Whereas after it has completed a certain distance, its velocity has increased very much great compared to 0. It is because of these cross fields. You're able to understand? So it will complete. So these revolutions will get completed, and when it has reached one of the ends of the Ds, the particle is projected out so that it will go and hit the target. So these kind of experiments are mainly used for nuclear reactions, because there you need fast moving particles to create the collisions and bombard the systems for them to undergo some reactions. Are you guys able to visualize what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now
Yes, sir.
you see the animation. So they have started with 0. Okay, just you observe the speed of the particle, it keeps constantly increasing. So it is in uniform circular motion. Now you would have understood what is uniform circular motion. Okay, actually they are speaking, that is why it is taking so much time. Look at the particle. So you can read the point which is given at the bottom. So this is the point I was trying to say. The particle then enters the other D with a larger velocity, hence moves with a circular path of larger radius, because R is directly proportional to V. Okay. So radius has increased. So when do you think the particle will be released? I told you one point. When is a particle released?
When it hits the D.
When it comes to one of the ends of the Ds. Okay. Once the particle is released, it will be projected towards the necessary target. So that we call it as bombarded. Okay, that is a technical name that is used. So target particle will be bombarded with this accelerated particle. Now you understand why it is accelerated? Because its velocity is constantly kept increased by using the crossed electric and the magnetic fields. Okay. Now let's see. Now let's see some mathematical part for it. Now we need to derive what is going to be the kinetic energy with which the particle is going to come out. So derivation is very simple. Guys, listen. So what is R equal to? R equal to?
MB by Q.
MV by QB.
V by QB.
The concept of radius itself is coming only because of the magnetic field. But what is our interest? Our interest is to study about the kinetic energy of the particle. So V will be equal to QBR divided by M. Can you say this? QB into R. Now, which velocity are we concerned about? The final velocity with which the particle is going to come. When the particle is going to attain the final velocity, if the particle was initially placed at the center, what is going to be the final radius of the particle? The final radius of the particle will be radius of one of the Ds. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I will write this as QB into capital R divided by M, where capital R is what? Radius of B. Okay. So if this is going to be the value of V, then what is going to be the kinetic energy of the particle? It's going to be half mv square. Only one formula. M into V square is Q square B square capital R square divided by M square. So M and M will get cancelled. So Q square B square into capital R square divided by 2M. This is going to be the energy with which the particle is going to come out. So the whole objective, if you look at the expression, no, the value of Q is constant because you are using the same charged particle. The value of B will be constant because you are using uniform magnetic field. The mass of the particle is the same. So what is the only parameter that is changing?
Radius.
The radius. So that is the whole objective of this experiment. So that is the whole principle on which it is working. So the kinetic energy of the particle is increased by increasing its radius. Okay. And I told you one more important point. What is the nature of the charged particle that is used in this experiment?
Positive.
Positive.
Right. Generally, cyclotrons are not used for accelerating the negatively charged particles. You can make a note of it. Can someone guess why it is so?
So maybe they move in opposite direction of electric field.
That we can control. That we could have controlled. It's not because of that. It's not because of that.
Sir, what is the question?
I asked, see, there's also one more question they ask generally. Cyclotrons are used to accelerate only positively charged particles. They cannot accelerate the negatively charged particles like electrons, you can say. I'll be more specific. You cannot accelerate electrons using this.
So because of the mass, sir.
Because of the mass of the particle. So because for an electron, since the mass is less, what will happen? How is the kinetic energy and mass?
Inversely proportional.
So if it's having lesser mass, no, it will attain very high velocity, which is difficult for us to control. Okay, they will attain very high velocities. That's not what is needed. If suppose the particles are having very high velocities, especially the the projectile particles, right? So we saw, no, the particle which came out and you have the target. So the target is generally called as a projectile. So if the projectile is having a very high velocity, there is high possibility that it might pierce through the target also. You will not have necessary reaction also happening there. So because the mass of the negatively charged particles is going to be very less, cyclotrons are generally not used to accelerate the negatively charged particles. So they are used only to accelerate the positively charged particles. Make a note of it. This is also a very important point. Clear?
Yes, sir.
This is the whole story about cyclotron. Actually, it's a simple concept only, but I wanted to discuss all the possibilities. Why this kind of a design is what I wanted to concentrate. Right. So with this chapter is over. We are done with this chapter. We can do few problems which were left out, and then we can proceed to the next chapter. Okay. So this derivation and all I've already shown it to you. I'm just showing it to you. T here, T is equal to 2 pi m divided by QB. Frequency is equal to QB divided by 2 pi m. This frequency is also called as cyclotron frequency. Okay. So this is the expression which I derived. Okay. You can just try this problem alone. Exercise 4.4, you can just try this problem. So cyclotron's oscillator frequency. Okay. Oscillator frequency is 10 megahertz. What should be the operating magnetic field for accelerating protons? So oscillator frequency is given as 10 megahertz. What are they asking? What should be the operating magnetic field for accelerating protons. So F is equal to only one formula, QB divided by 2 pi into M. You know the charge of a proton, which is one charge is same as that of an electron, 10 power minus 19 coulomb. The mass of proton is known. It is 1.67 into 10 power minus 27 kilogram. Right. Then what else do you have? So Q is known, M is known, only B no. So B will be equal to 2 pi into F divided by 2 pi into F into N divided by Q. So all the values are known, just substitute. 10 megahertz is nothing but 10 into 10 power 6 hertz. Okay. Please make a note of it. Write it down. If the radius of the disc is 60 centimeters, so capital R is 60 centimeter, what is the kinetic energy in mega electron volt? I tell you what is electron volt. So you can first write down this one. Just substitute the values, calculation you do it later. Okay. So once you're done with that, we'll go to the next part of the question. So if the radius of the disc is 60 centimeters, so 60 into 10 power minus 2 meter, okay. What is the kinetic energy of the proton beam produced by the accelerator? So kinetic energy, the formula just now we saw Q square, B square, R square divided by 2 into M. So Q you know, B you will find it from the previous question, right? R is known to you and you know the value of M also. So if you substitute everything, the value of kinetic energy, let us say, it is coming out as X joules. You will definitely get the answer only in terms of joules, you will not get it in terms of electron volt. Can someone tell me what is the conversion between a joule and electron volt?
Sir, 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 to the power of minus 19 joules.
So how did you get this? 1 electron volt is equal to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Why is it so? Okay. Let me explain what is the meaning of an electron volt. See, this is a unit which is mostly used in chemistry. When you talk about the transition of electrons from one orbit to another, the energy is generally released in terms of electron volt. Right. So what does an electron volt actually mean? If you recollect from the second chapter, we know that U is equal to Q into V. Do people remember this? So what is U? It is the electrostatic potential energy. Q is the charge of the particle and V is the potential across which the charged particle is moved. So the meaning, if you have to visualize, let us say there is a battery which is having a potential difference of 5 volt, just for your understanding. And let's say the charge of the particle is 1 coulomb. Then how much is the work done for the particle to move from positive to the negative plate? That is going to be U is equal to the charge multiplied by the potential difference across which you are trying to move. That is 1 into 5. You will get it as 5 in terms of joule. Okay. If you look at it, electron volt is something like that. Electron is the charge of an electron. E is the charge of an electron. V is the potential difference. So the meaning of this statement is, how much work are we supposed to do to move 1 electron across a potential difference of 1 volt? You don't get confused. I'm not saying 1 coulomb. I'm saying how much is the work done by us to move 1 electron across a potential difference of how much value? 1 volt. Okay. So if I have a potential difference of 1 volt, I have 1 electron in hand. So how much work is being done? So work done is equal to E into V. But what is the charge of an electron? It is 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb into how many volts you are moving across? 1 volt. So 1.602 into 10 power minus 19 into 1 is going to give me what? Is going to give me 1.602 into 10 power minus 19. Okay, this is a very, very important concept for the 13th chapter. If at all they have started in your school, you can observe everything that in the 13th chapter, You will have every parameter measured only in terms of electron for energy. Now, how do I convert joule to electron volt then? Then whatever value you get, X should be divided with 1.602 into 10 power minus 19. So these many electron volts, but what are they asking? Are they asking electron volt or mega electron volt?
Mega electron.
The mega electron volt means what will happen is, so what will happen?
to 10 power minus 6.
Okay, so that's what you need to do. Into 10 power 6 means you will get 10 power minus 13. So this will be, it is 10 power minus 13 mega electron volt. That is the answer. So whatever is the value, you can calculate it. Okay, I hope it is clear. So with this, cyclotron is over. Just a minute. So we have completed every topic except I told you one point. That is a moving charge and its magnetism. 1 minute, I'll show you. So I didn't teach you only one concept because I told you that is the beginning of the next chapter. This point. It actually belongs to 5th chapter. Okay. So with this chapter is over. So what we will do is we will do few problems. Did you people try this problem? I'd asked you to do it in the previous class. So 4.10. So you have two moving coil meters M1 and M2, where the resistance of the first coil is 10 ohm and the number of turns in the first coil is 30. A1 is 3.6 into 10 power minus 3 meters square. B1 is 0.25 Tesla. Similarly, you have some other device in your hand. The spring constants are identical for the 2 meters. Determine the ratio of the current sensitivity. So how do you define current sensitivity as?
Deflection per unit current.
Sorry?
Deflection per unit current.
Okay. Deflection per unit current is the basic definition of it. How do you write it in terms of the physical parameters like the number of turns, spring constant, all those parameters?
NBA by K.
It's going to be NBA divided by K. So can you solve it immediately and tell me what is going to be the answer? So current sensitivity of 1 divided by the current sensitivity of the second galvanometer. It will be N1 B1 A1 divided by K1 divided by N2 B2 A2 divided by K2. But what will get cancelled? K1 and K2 will get cancelled because the spring constants are the same. So just substitute the values, will get the answer. 30 into B1 is how much? 0.25, that is 1 by 4 into A1 is 3.6 into 10 power minus 3, the whole divided by N2 is how much? 42.
42.
Sorry. N2 is 42 into 1 by 2 into 1.8 into 10 power minus 3. This and this will get cancelled. It will go 2 times. So this will also go 2 times. This and this will get cancelled. 30 is 10 divided by 14. So it is going to be 5 divided by 7. So they have asked current sensitivity of M2 and M1. So this, what I found is M1 by M2. So M2 by M1 will be 7 by 5. Similarly, what is going to be the voltage sensitivity? So how do you define the voltage sensitivity as?
NBA by KR.
It will be current sensitivity of 2 divided by R2 divided by current sensitivity of 1 divided by R1. It will be current sensitivity of 2 by current sensitivity of 1 into R1 by R2. But current sensitivity of 2 by current sensitivity of 1 is 7 by 5 according to our previous problem. Into what is the value of R1 by R2? R1 is how much? 14.
5 by 7.
14 by 10 by 14. No? 80 into 10 divided by 14. So this and this will get cancelled. This and this will get. I mean 2 times. So answer will be 1:1. Okay. So this will be 1:1. No doubt, right? Anybody who is not clear? I just applied the formula. Nothing so complicated. Right? So other questions we have done. So 4.11, 11th one, 12th one, 13th one, you can directly apply the formula and then do it. Okay. Let me do some important problems. See, actually, you need not do the additional exercises for all the chapters, but sometimes you might, if you are asked a slightly tougher question, maybe you will get it from there. But not every question will be asked. I'll tell you what are all important and which gets repeated most of it. So we can try the 14th problem. So there are two concentric circular coils X and Y of radii 16 centimeter and 10 centimeter respectively. They lie in the same vertical plane, okay, containing the north to south direction. Okay. Coil X has 20 turns and carries a current of 16 ampere. Coil Y has 25 turns and carries a current of 18 ampere. The sense of the current in X is clockwise and in Y is anti-clockwise for an observer looking the coils facing west. Okay, looking at the coils facing west. Give the magnitude and direction of the net magnetic field due to the coils at their center. So how do I do it? So you need to read the question carefully and mark this as important also. So two concentric circular coils X and Y of radii 16 centimeter and 10 centimeter respectively lie in the same vertical plane containing the north to south direction. So one coil is like this. The other coil is going to be like this. So I didn't draw them like this. Observe. If I draw it like this, they are in which plane? So they are in which plane like this? If I draw it like this,
XY plane.
they are in the plane of the paper. So you can either see it as a complete circle or an oval shape. If it is in the oval shape, then what is going to happen? Then they are in the Y, something like that. So when it happens, that is what they have told us, no? Two concentric circular coils X and Y of radii 16 centimeter and 10 centimeter respectively lie in the same vertical plane. So this is what you mean by vertical plane, containing the north to south direction. Okay, that is how they are. So let's write down the data. How to solve this question? Where do you need to find the magnetic field? So you need to find the magnetic field at which point? Read the last part.
Center.
Right. So you need to find the magnetic field at the center means what is going to be the value of it? What is the value of magnetic field due to a circular current carrying conductor at its center?
0.
Is mu naught I divided by 2R.
U not Ni.
Mu naught I by 2R. If it is n number of turns, then it is going to be Ni. This is the basic formula. If n turns are there, magnetic field at the center will be equal to mu naught into n into I divided by 2 into R. Okay. So let me take. So can someone read the question? It is getting difficult for me to toggle. Can someone read it? Srivatsan, read the question.
Sir, I don't have the textbook, sir.
You don't have it. Who's having the text?
So 1 second, sir.
Sir, can I read?
Please.
Two concentric circular coils X and Y of radius 16 centimeter and 10 centimeter. Respect.
1 minute. Axis of radius 16 centimeter.
Yes, sir. Y is equal to 10 centimeter.
Okay. Y is having a radius of 10 centimeter. Okay. Next.
Lie in the same vertical plane containing the north to south direction. Coil X has 20 turns and carrying a current of 60 amperes.
20 turns and carries a current of.
16 amperes.
Okay.
And coil Y has 25 turns and carrying the current of 18 amperes.
Okay.
The sense of current in X is anti-clockwise
Okay.
and clockwise in Y direction.
Okay.
For the observer looking at the coil facing west, give the magnitude and direction of the net magnetic field due to the coil at their centers.
What is going to be the magnetic field produced due to X? It is going to be mu naught into number of turns in X into I into X divided by 2 into Rx. Can you write it like this? So magnetic field due to Y will be mu naught into N into Y divided into Iy divided by 2 into R into Y. Can you write it like this? Now, so there is a person who's standing here and he's facing the west. So when he's facing the west, coil X has a turn in the anti-clockwise direction, correct? So anti-clockwise direction, and this is having a turn in the clockwise direction. So due to the anti-clockwise direction, will the field be towards him or away from him? Will the field be towards him or away from him?
Towards, sir.
Away from him.
It's towards because he is facing the west. Okay, let me show you. Just a minute. Are you guys able to see me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, listen. What happens is the coil is like this. This is what you mean by north to south. Okay, they are in the north-south plane. One person is facing the west. So when the person is facing the west, what will happen is in one coil, the outermost coil, the current is in the anti-clockwise direction, and in the innermost coil, the current is in the clockwise direction. Okay, so anti-clockwise means curl your fingers in the anti-clockwise direction. The magnetic field will be towards you. Clockwise means curl the fingers in the clockwise direction. The magnetic field will be away from you. So the person is here. So with respect to the coil X, the magnetic field will be towards him. With respect to the coil Y, the magnetic field will be away from him. Are you able to understand?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Now this is what happens. With this, take the proper directions into consideration and tell me what is the final answer. Calculation part, I'm leaving it to you. So to put it in simple terms, I'm going to write this as I cap. And I will write this as minus I cap. So what will be the net magnetic field? It will be Bx vector plus By vector. So this will be mu naught divided by 2r into number of turns in X is how much? 20 into Ix. So 320 divided by Rx is 16. Ry is 10. By 16 I cap minus, I'll put this I cap at the end, minus 25 into 18 the whole divided by ry, that is 10 in the direction of I cap. I can write it like this. So this will go 20 times 5, 2, 9. So it will be mu naught by 2 into 20 minus 45. So it will be mu naught by 2. Yeah. Like mu naught is how much? 4 pi into 10 power minus 7 by 2 into minus, I have put minus already. So it will be 50 pi into 10 power minus 7 with the minus sign. So these many Tesla, this minus sign indicates that it is in the west direction. Okay. So it is in the west direction.
Sir, so with what we consider, it is in minus I cap direction.
That's it. Minus I cap with respect to this question is west.
West.
Okay. This is one type of a question. So I've seen these kind of questions being asked. Second is, they'll give you a question like this. So there are two coils which are placed perpendicular to each other. Both are circular coils and they have the common center. Okay. Only difference is, if I take it like this, X, Y, and Z, then if I take this one as the first coil, so coil 1 is in XZ plane, whereas coil 2 is in, can you people guess? Coil 2 is in
XY plane.
XYZ plane.
YZ plane.
Z.
Because I've drawn the shape of an oval. Okay, so it is in the YZ plane and they have the common center. Let's say their radii is the same. Okay, so in this the current is flowing like this. In this the current is flowing like this. See, initially this looking at the direction of current will be slightly difficult for you, I understand. So once the 6th chapter is over, right, you will have a better clarity of how to look at the direction. So you need to be a little patient till then. Till then, I'll explain you how you are supposed to look at it. Okay. Now, what they will ask is, find resultant magnetic field at center. Okay. So let one current be I, the other current is also I, and let's take them as identical coils itself. Identical coils, both of radius A. Okay. So this is a question. For you to visualize, I will show you how it looks like. Again, I'm switching on my video. Observe. So how the coil is. I'm not able to see 1 minute. So one coil is like this. The coil 2 is like this. And the coil 1 is like this. Okay, you're able to visualize it. So they have the same centers. Means the compass is kept here, one circle is drawn in this way. For the other one, the compass is kept here and the circle is drawn in this way. So they look like this. When I draw it diagrammatically, they are crossed. They are crossed with respect to each other with the same center. They have the same radii. The current in coil 2 is vertical, right? The current in coil 2, when I see from this side, is anti-clockwise. Make a note of it. When I see it from this side, it is going to be anti-clockwise. The current in coil 1, when I see from this side, it will be anti-clockwise. Okay, I'm repeating it. Coil 2, when I see from the right side of coil 2, it is anti-clockwise. Coil 1, when I see from the top of coil 1, it is again anti-clockwise. Okay. What we need to do is we need to find the resultant magnetic field at the center. This is also a very important question. Okay. So what is going to be the resultant magnetic field at the center? Actually, the question is very simple. Okay, the solution is only 3 to 4 steps. Observe. So what is the value of magnetic field due to the first coil? It is mu naught. Let's assume there is only one term. Mu naught I divided by
2A.
2R.
I'll take
Not
it.
leave.
Okay. V2 is equal to mu naught I by same 2A. Now the question is directions. Okay. So with respect to the first coil, when you see from the top, what did I say? With respect to the first,
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
this means is the magnetic field towards you or away from you when you see from the top?
Away, sir.
No, don't just think about it.
Towards.
Towards you. Towards you.
Towards you.
But sir,
Towards you, according to this question, is what? J cap or K cap?
K cap.
J.
Jacob.
Because you have taken the direction of y. So can I say B1 vector according to this question is in the direction of J cap? Similarly, B2 vector, when you see from the right hand side, again it is anti-clockwise. So when I say anti-clockwise always towards you. Clockwise always away from you, as simple as that. So anti-clockwise means it is towards you. Towards you with respect to second coil means which direction?
I cap.
Minus K cap.
It is I cap. Okay, it is I cap. When you do this, what is going to be the resultant magnetic field? It will be B1 vector plus B2 vector. Right? So B1 vector plus B2 vector means it is mu naught I divided by 2A into J cap plus mu naught I divided by 2A in the direction of I cap. So this is the value of the vector sum. Now if I ask you the magnitude, what will you do? If suppose you have A vector is equal to 2I cap plus 3J cap. If I ask you what is the magnitude of it, what will you say? Square root of 2 square.
2 square plus 3 square.
3 square.
So you do the same thing here. So mu naught I by 2A will come out. What is left out inside? I cap plus J cap is left out inside. You take the magnitude of this. So mu naught I divided by
Root 2.
2A. So root 2 times mu naught I divided by 2A is the required answer. And how it is going to be is magnetic field due to the first will be in this direction. B1 will be in this direction. B2 will be in this direction. And B vector will be in this direction, such that it is making, if I take this angle to be theta, then tan theta will be equal to B1 divided by B2. If you recollect from the concept of parallelogram law of vectors. It is B1 by B2. B1 and B2, they have the same magnitude. So tan theta will be equal to 1. What will be the value of theta?
45 degrees.
45.
I have told you this already, right? When I explained the concept of electric field in equatorial plane, I would have explained if there are two vectors of equal magnitude, then the resultant will be an
Angle bisector of the vectors. Angle found by the two vectors.
root are perpendicular, so angle will be exactly 45 degrees. So this question gets repeated many times. Okay. So the magnitude is root 2 times mu naught I by 2A, and the angle it makes is 45 degrees with either of the vectors. Is it clear?
Sir, can you explain me the direction, sir?
Direction is very simple. I'm saying if B1 and B2 have the same magnitude, with two vectors C, you can have this theory in your mind itself. There are A vector and B vector which are the same magnitude. Okay. If magnitude of A vector is equal to magnitude of B vector, then the resultant will be an angular bisector. Means if this angle, the angle between A vector and B vector is theta, then this will be theta by 2. This will also be theta. That's what I'm trying to say. Okay. If they are not equal, if magnitude of A vector is not equal to magnitude of B vector, then the resultant will be close to
Vector of higher magnitude.
It will be close to the vector of higher magnitude. So these are all the concepts that you need to apply. So because this chapter demands a lot of vectors and explaining all these things. Okay. So with this chapter is over. Is there any doubt?
So what's the next chapter you'll take, sir?
Next, I will start the 6th chapter because it is exactly the opposite of this chapter. I will take 6th and then come to 5th. 5th actually will take only maximum 3 classes, and 6th will take 4 classes.
Okay, sir.
That's it. This is the only chapter which is very big. It almost took 1 month for us. Today is the 9th class for this chapter. Almost took 1 month. Right. So study this chapter. I told you there is a test this week. You mostly I will conduct it on Saturday because Sunday I will try to complete the corrections and give it back to you. So you be prepared. Start preparing, okay? You will have the derivations and the questions from NCERT or whatever has been discussed in the class. So whatever I have discussed in the class, I will be asking. Okay, what is the time? 4:53. Just a second, I'll take attendance and then you can leave. Do one thing. Just let me. Just wait for a second.